What's up, everyone? It's Dynamic here again with a Talking Head video, but this time we're reacting to a video by Maximilian Dood. Fantastic streamer, player, reviewer of games. He's actually really cool. Uh, and he put out a video about 20 hours ago at this point talking about, do graphics sell games anymore? And I wanted to react to this because it really intrigued me. I saw a few other big streamers react to it and talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it myself and what I've seen over the last few years with video games. So let's go ahead and dive right in.
From insanely high fidelity graphics, Chad. I had a funny observation. Also, we were just talking during dinner. I think one of the contributing factors why Final Fantasy also has been decreasing in popularity over the years with FF16 and like Rebirth is also the fact that graphics don't exactly matter as much. And
I'm gonna have to agree with him on this point. I'm gonna do a lot of stopping here because if you want to watch the video in full in no interruptions, go click the link in the description. Go watch it yourself. I encourage you to watch it anyways yourself. But I'm gonna agree with him on here. Yeah, I don't think graphics matter nearly as much as they used to, like in the 360 or PS3 era. Since the PS4 and now PS5, it it doesn't matter as much. Like you can push these really graphically intense games, and they look stunning and beautiful, but they're like the cherry on top. They're not the main reason I play a video game. I play a video game for having fun and enjoying it and exploring like a fantasy world that isn't real. Um, like for example, I could be playing. I could just sit down and watch a movie and enjoy it. Like movies will always be like stunning and look incredible. The newer movies, at least, right? CGI over the years will get outdated and look what we used to think was amazing now looks horrible. Look at Avatar 2009 when that came out. It doesn't even compare to what's nowadays. But I would have to agree. I thought at this point is that I don't think graphics are nearly as important anymore, or should be as big of a selling point as like gameplay and fun and what you actually get to experience in the game. Because most of the time, I'm running through the levels at a fast speed, trying to do objectives and all that. That I'm not really looking around and being like, oh my god, this stone, this tile work is amazing. Who is the artisan who did it? I'm not doing that. I'm most of the time just running through, trying to play the game and enjoy the story. Um, yeah.
Final Fantasy as an overall series, as an overall existence, like the whole point of it, every new Final Fantasy game is going to blow your balls off visually.
Oh yeah, I would agree
all
with
the way
that.
up until Final Fantasy 15 has that been true, and even
Yeah,
FF7
yeah.
Remake to a certain degree, that shit was true. Where it's like, oh my god, the upgrade from the previous system.
Like this is compression. Like this is a YouTube video. This looks so much better if you're playing it natively on hardware and all that. But even this looks incredible. It looks pretty cool.
To this one, holy shit, bro. Like, Final Fantasy is the game that you buy to like justifies my console existence. Like,
Yeah,
I buy this because look how good it looks. Like, holy shit. Final Fantasy has always gotten a lot of sales based on that relationship where people just don't give a shit about Final Fantasy, but it'll pick people up and get them to play because it's just visually gorgeous. All I'm pitching is that.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. Is that in the past, Final Fantasy was like the big. This is the epic fantasy. The oh my god, this looks incredible. This is what technology is capable of. Game series. I'm thinking back to like Final Fantasy VII's like cutscenes on the what was it? Was it released on the PS2 or PS1? Oh god, I think it was like on PS1. Final Fantasy VII, and then 10, and then not well 9 and 10 and 12 and 13. Oh, I remember 13 because I'm a youngin compared to these guys. 13 is the one I really remember. I remember seeing those E3 trailers of Final Fantasy 13. I thought it looked so cool. I wanted to play it so badly. Then I got my hands on it and I never finished it. I maybe it was because I was just younger and dumb, but I didn't enjoy the game as much as I thought I would. But the graphics sold me on it. Like, oh, this is truly the game to play on your 360 or PS3 at the time. That was the game. gameplay left a lot to be desired for me personally, but that's just me.
Graphics are obviously great, obviously beautiful, obviously makes you feel like, oh, my system is worth it. This console generation specifically, I don't feel like graphics are selling games anymore, because some of the games that all of a sudden just like explode and are on top, like all of a sudden through virality and whatnot, are good looking games, but are they like the Uncharted's or something like that?
You can't tell me that Final Fantasy 16 looks bad. You can't tell me that. But it looks fantastic. I have a PS5. I haven't bought it yet. I haven't played it. I hear it's great. I hear its reviews. I'm just waiting for a sale. I think there's a big issue going on with how fast everything goes on sale and the amount of money that video games need to make. There's a great thread on this on Twitter. I might talk about that too. But there is an issue with how we are buying games. Like, we can wait a few months. Like, I can wait a few months to buy a game for it to get like 20 to 30% off, and then I'm like, okay, I'll buy the game. Yeah, sure, why not? Wait for a Steam summer sale or something like that. Rarely do I buy games for full price now at launch day or pre-order games. I rarely pre-order a game nowadays. Almost never. It's like once in a blue moon. And I think that's a big issue, is that, yeah, graphics, it may look great. It may have a great thing going on, but I'm not rushing out to buy these games because I know in like 3 months, 6 months, it's going to be on sale, and I already have a backlog of games to play. So I don't really care too much personally about getting the games day one.
Really pushed visuals and all this kind of shit? Not really. Like, the virality of certain games sort of blows up. It is due to other reasons other than just straight visuals. So now,
yeah, there's so many reasons why a game blows up. Like, the story could be amazing, could be a fantastic story. Like, look at Undertale. That, I wouldn't say those graphics are great. I wouldn't say that's high fidelity. I'd say, oh yeah, they look kind of nice. They're all aesthetically pleasing. It has a good art direction, but I wouldn't say it's has graphic fidelity like Final Fantasy 16 whatsoever. I would say its story is what carries it. The characters are what carries it. It's what made it so popular. Or games like Risk of Rain. That's not a graphically intense game, but the gameplay is fun, so it sold a bajillion copies and people loved it. So yeah, it's definitely graphics are the sprinkle on top for me. It's not the main seller, but I prefer a beautiful looking game over a crappy looking game. If there's two games, one had great gameplay, the other one had shitty gameplay, I'll take the one with the great gameplay, even though the shitty gameplay game would have like better graphics or something like that. I'd still take the crappy graphics, great gameplay game, over the option 2 where it's crappy gameplay, great graphics. I would take that. I'll take game 1 over 2 any day of the week. Now, do I want game 1 to have great gameplay and great graphics? Of course. But it's not necessarily to me anymore. It's not necessary to me for it to have fantastic graphics anymore, just because there's so many indie games that are coming out that are so much fun and so good. I think you've seen it with like Power World and stuff. Like, those aren't graphically fidelity games. Those are pretty decent graphics, but the gameplay loop is addicting and people love playing it. I think that's what sells games more now than these really over budget, like just insane graphic games are.
You get clearly amazing looking games, which is Rebirth and 16. Gorgeous games, like holy shit, dude. But they don't perform as well because people just aren't in it for the visuals anymore. And then you get something like Elden Ring. And I like this comparison. I'm gonna be real. Elden Ring is a gorgeous game, but I just looked at the gameplay trailer, and that bitch-ass game is not graphically impressive, bro. They're like doing all these zoom-ins and tight shots of shit, and I'm like, yeah, this game is kind of rough visually. Most games now, if you like zoom in so much and it still looks good and it's like that's important about the game, no. Games like Elden Ring and even especially FF,
I would agree with this, is that I feel like we're chasing the wrong rabbit when it comes to video games. I think this is just purely for marketing. You can show off how great a game looks in marketing and videos and like in tablets and tabloids and on posts with screenshots or videos. It's hard to show how fun a game is unless you give the person a controller and play it. So I think a lot of this is being done for marketing too. Is that it's easier to show a good looking game than to show a fun to play game. Like the only way that you can know a game is fun to play before you buy it is once the reviews have been released, which is usually the day of or the week before. Depends on the game, depends on the contracts and all that. But usually, you don't know if a game is fun to play until the day of, when all the reviews get just flood, just come flooding in, and you can watch and really see the gameplay. You can watch them like E3. Well, E3 is no longer around. You can watch them like beta alpha test gameplay, or they'll sometimes put out just videos showing off gameplay. You can kind of go based off that, but most of the time it's you don't know until you play it. So I think this issue where we're really honing in on graphics, on textures that honestly don't matter. You're running past them, motion blur and all that. You're barely paying attention to it. It just gets filtered out by your brain, so you can focus on exactly what's important in front of you. That it's great for marketing, but overall, as a package for gameplay and enjoyment of a game, I think it's far less. I think it doesn't nearly as matter as much as fun, great gameplay.
7 Rebirth to a certain degree. You zoom in on with a microscope and you get this close and you're like, wow, this game looks like shit. But then you go back from here and you're like, whoa, this game's gorgeous. Like even Zelda game, Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah,
shit, where
yeah.
It's like back from here, this game's gorgeous. Zoom in.
Yeah, Nintendo games on that Switch, it's not capable of doing nearly as graphic fidelity like with the PCs or PS5s or Xboxes can do now. If you zoom in on those textures, it looks like shit. But if you zoom out and you look at the whole thing, the whole art direction, looks beautiful.
This game looks like fucking trash, dude. I don't think we need to do this anymore.
I agree with him.
For a lot
We don't
of
need
these
to do
games
that
with these
anymore.
Big worlds
We
and
just
all this
don't.
crazy shit that's in them. I don't think we need to just peer into every corner, every facet. It's making games take way too long to come out. If there is a problem with this current era in the industry that I personally hate, why the hell are games taking 4 to 7 years to come out? That is where shit needs to.
I don't understand it either. I'm not a game developer. I'm a software engineer. I don't do graphics. I do automation of simple things. I say simple, but hand it to somebody, they might not understand it. But I don't get why game development is taking, for a lot of these games, like the gameplay systems seem simple. They don't seem that hard. It really is probably just the graphics that's making it take so much longer to do. Like a game, like I can see a game taking up to 4 years to make, maybe 5, but 6, 7, 8 years to make a single video game. I don't know how you're doing that. I in the last year at my job, I worked on like 5 different projects throughout the year, individual projects. Now it's not a video game. It's not as complicated as a video game, but what if one of my projects is just a simple system in one of those video games that I could do in like a month or 2 months of work? Why is it taking a video game like 5 or 6 years? I think honestly it's mostly the graphics. It is mostly it has to be, because I don't see how else it is. Personally, I don't see how it's anything else besides it's just the graphics that extend the time so much longer, because then you got to tune everything to the graphics that you want to hit and get the frame rate you want with the fidelity you want. It's got to be taking up an enormous amount of time, extending it by at least 30 to 40% development time nowadays. It's got to be.
To change. We do not need that extra fidelity. We don't. Where you spend so much money on this shit, you're effectively 7, 8 days, 9 days, 12 days.
These all look beautiful. These all look amazing.
Quota, and you're the Spider-Man.
But you're swinging past them so fast you can't watch. You can't see it.
It cost us so much money to get here, and where are we at? We have to make that much fucking money on this shit, and we don't hit the quota. Now people are laid off, even though you had like a banger of a run. Your game was incredible.
Like these games look amazing, but it's going by so fast you don't notice them
anymore. This doesn't work out this way, dude.
Doesn't.
Through the looking glass at every single tiny bit and piece of everything. It isn't fun for us. It doesn't add any actual element to the game. I don't think it's.
I think I would argue on this. It does add an element of those moments where you just stop and watch and look around the world. Be like, holy cow, this is beautiful. I've had that more often in video games, but those moments are rare, and that adds a little bit of something. But they're so rare that it almost doesn't justify it. And I've had those moments more in like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom than other games, than other like graphically high fidelity graphics games. And Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are running on an APU from 2014. It's a decade old like CPU, APU, GPU combo thing they got going on that Switch. It's incredibly old. Yet with the art direction, that's what games need, is art direction, not just pure realism. Going for realism, we need art direction. Like, I have one of these pulled up. World of Warcraft is a great example of this. It is not a graphically fidelity game. It is not graphically intense. But the art direction? Dude, say what you will about the story, the gameplay. Say what you will. Say how much you hate the game. The art direction is incredible in the newest expansion. And then World War Thin, I've been seeing alpha and beta previews of that. It looks incredible. Are you kidding me? Art direction is what we need. That is what we need. Not fidelity, art direction.
It's necessary. I really don't. I think the majority of games do not need to do that shit. They don't, and they shouldn't be doing that shit. To be real, you know what games are also like that? And they really kind of fall apart when you get that close to things. Almost all of Capcom games in RE Engine. You really look, like, take a sniper scope with Leon and RE4 and zoom in and look at little spots. And you're like, this looks like shit. This actually kind of looks sort of bad. But from the natural perspective the game presents to you, it's fucking beautiful. It's beautiful. Seemingly, Capcom has gotten Dragon's Dogma 2 is, yeah, I'd imagine no exception, even though we didn't really look at that game.
Bad graphics can be covered up by proper perspective and great art direction. You do not need. This is what the whole video is just going to be. This whole like 20 minutes of reacting to this YouTube video. It's just straight up. We don't need these intense graphics. Are they great? Are they cool to see? Yeah, but that should be like one every 30 or 40 games we're getting these intense graphics. Not, oh, every single game is getting these intense graphics. Oh no, we're not hitting sales because it costs too much to get these intense graphics because the gameplay sucked and the story sucked. But it looks good. It looks great, but everything else sucked. So no one's buying it.
Too much. All I'm saying is that Capcom has seemingly found a pretty decent balance. You know what game's also like that? Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World is the same shit. That game is fucking.
Oh, I was playing Monster Hunter World like a month ago.
And you just
great game.
At one spot. It's fucking butt ugly. But
it
when
is.
You're running and
I agree
doing
with
things, it's gorgeous.
Exactly.
Dude, this shit is awesome. Oh my god. This shit is awesome. That's what I'm saying. It is an old engine. It's an old-ass game on like a decade-plus old engine. But they were able to pump out the best-selling Capcom game ever on technically old visuals. Now I go back and I look at it and it's like the Switch is the best example of that. You know, even Monster Hunter Rise looks like an upscaled fucking PSP game at times. And
it
sold
it
a
does.
shit ton.
It does.
And
yes.
It's insanely rough looking. And I forgot about the
consumers. The normies maybe care about graphics. Really avid video game players who play more than just one type of game kind of don't care about graphics that much. Like, yeah, we want awesome, intense graphics, but give us gameplay. Give us a great gameplay loop that is addicting, and we'll play your game to hell and back.
The visuals of Monster Hunter World when I was playing Rise, just because it was like, well, this is great. So anyway, related to Final Fantasy, all I'm saying is that Final Fantasy is a franchise that has sort of been based on the fact that every single new Final Fantasy is going to blow your balls off with its graphics and make you feel like you spent that $400 to $500 on.
That's definitely how I feel like Final Fantasy has been over the years, is that it is just always this is the most graphically intense game that you will ever play on your system. That's why you need it. Gameplay, sure, it's decent. It's turn-based strategy. Most of them are. But the reason you play this is cool story, amazing graphics.
On your console, we're gonna make it worth it, bro. From the PS1 to the PS2 to the fucking PS3, even the PS4. To be real, FF7 Remake and Final Fantasy 15, you're like, god damn, dude, yeah, holy shit, this feels like a big upgrade over PS3 shit. Hell yeah, this is pretty cool. Now we have the smallest amount of return investment.
Yeah, when every game looks graphically amazing and realistic, it doesn't matter anymore that it looks amazing and graphically realistic, because it's normal. It's not the exception. It's not exceptional graphics. It is normal to look this good. So now they have to try even harder to like put it to set itself apart from other games. If everything looks amazing and exceptional and cool, if every game is, it's no longer exceptional. It's the norm. It's what's expected. And that's where you get in trouble. Also, a game that came out last year, Hi-Fi Rush, that is not graphically intense. That's not a high fidelity of graphics. Great art direction, though.
On newer consoles compared to the previous one, man. The amount of shit that has effectively changed from the previous generation to this generation to an actual relative perception is mad low. It is big, don't get me wrong. Load times and how that impacts the overall game experience.
Load times, FPS, those are more important. How fast things load in, I care way more. I don't want to see textures popping in as I'm running around. I want that shit to be loaded in well before I get to that point. So I'm not seeing it pop in, because that, I'll tell you what, low frame rate and texture popping is what takes me out of the game more than anything else. Anything else.
Experience is profound. SSDs, in my opinion, are where this
Agreed.
shit shines.
Agreed.
That shit is amazing. But to be real, all of the extra time and effort going into raw visual fidelity is not worth the time or the return of investment from the previous generation to this one. It's just not worth it. It doesn't feel like anything has really changed that much.
Yeah.
This generation
It doesn't.
is really disappointing just in.
It doesn't. And there was a recent announcement that the next Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is going to be on last-gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. Why'd I buy a PS4 a PS5 if all the games are coming to PS4? What was the point of this purchase? Sure, it's cool. It does games better and it looks nicer. But what was the point if I could have just kept my PS4 for another few years and enjoyed the games on that? God.
General, the only way that it's not disappointing is in SSDs, is in fast-ass loading.
That's the one
we can
thing.
Change our games to play differently. Because
that's the one thing I love over the PS5 over the PS4 is the SSD, how fast things load in. It's great. Like on my computer, I've had SSDs for years. That's the only thing I use. I rarely use hard drives unless it's to my NAS. It's just there's no SSDs should be the standard for every game console and every computer. It should no longer be hard drives.
Because of fast loading. I think that is 100% worth it. If we're talking about just like, oh, am I super enthused about my PS5 or next box over the previous one? Fuck no, dude. Absolutely not. There is still only one game on my PS5 that I emphatically feel is a substantial, massive upgrade from the previous generation.
What game's grabbing?
Game, I still
what is
fire it up and go, holy sweet dumb hell. Right there.
Demon Souls. I need to play this. I bought it. It was a launch title. I bought it. I played it for a little bit with like my brother-in-law and his son. Oh, dude, yeah, I would agree with him. It is probably the only game I own on PS5 that pushes the console and looks amazing. Compare this to the original PS3 release, night and day difference. Look, the environments, even though it may be the same layout, look totally different. It looks incredible.
It's this launch game. So to me, it's like from what I've played personally, This shit is the only thing that felt like it was a big update, right? A
Yeah.
substantial update from the previous generation. What I'm saying is that I don't think it's worth it. I think it's good that these games are running better, but is it worth it for these games to take like 5 to 6 years to exist?
I'm gonna tell you right now, no. No, it is not worth it to me personally that they should take 5 to 6 years to exist. 4 should probably be around the max, so that way you get they get your return on investment without the market changing too drastically. 5 to 6 years is way too long, dude. It's way too long to invest so much money on a gamble. Because video games have just become a gamble at this point. If it just is.
To put in every goddamn amount of effort, detail, developer time, concept art, all of this shit into the microscopic goddamn details of every single.
Like, you can see these scratches on here. Sure, they add something. But if this took a person a week to do, these scratches, I'm sorry, I don't know art. I don't know art. This should take at most maybe a day. Like a day as in 8 hours, 8 hour workday. Maybe it should take 4 hours to do all this. To do this. If this is taking more than 4 hours, we're spending our money and time in the wrong areas. Because this, you see once in a while, you notice it once, and then you block it out because who cares? Who cares about the scratches on here, even though it adds cool detail? It's cool detail. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't notice that again for a while. I'd notice it once in like this cutscene, and then never again.
Room, and I don't think it's worth it, man. I don't think it adds anything.
Look how fast you're going. You see how fast you're going in that scene with the water,
details of
with
every
the
room, and
with the dolphins.
It's worth it, man.
Look how fast you're going.
I don't think it.
Who cares how
to the game
who cares how like up close and detailed there is when you're going that fast environments? Who cares? This, where it's more of like you're staring at this type thing. Sure, it's kind of nice, but you see all these like little scratches and tethers, like little marks on the fabric and all that. Cool. Makes it feel more lived in. But if that takes more than 4 hours out of your workday, I don't
either.
I don't know what's happening.
Developers to effectively throw out a game because it's so expensive.
And by the way, I am in no way, shape, or form an artiste. I don't do anything like that. I'm more logical. I'm more on the math and programming side. I am not an artist, so I couldn't tell you what should be expected or what's not. This is from purely an outsider's perspective on what I think should be taking time.
Expensive to do this shit now. The game has to sell a shit ton or else the studio is sunk. So it's like, hey, we're gonna do this, and if it works, we're really gonna be in it, or if it doesn't work, we're fucking dead.
Yeah.
That's sort of a mentality.
Most game studios nowadays, they're so over leveraged with how much money they have put in the games that either it's a success and they keep thriving, or it flops and the studio's gone. Just how it is now, and it's messed up.
Leads an industry to take no risks. We can't take any risks anymore. We lost this, we lost that, we fucked up here, we fucked up there. That leads us to an industry that is not creative. Creativity is now not encouraged. You just have to be safe and do this one thing that we know is going to work. Game industry is made by creative people. The truly great games that are out there are made by creative people. It's the same thing for every goddamn thing. The stuff that we love so much is...
I personally think that creativity comes... The most creativity comes from when there are hard restrictions placed on you. Like, there is a technical limitation, or there's a financial limitation of what you can afford to do, or what you can achieve in an engine allows you to be more creative. Because then you got to figure out solutions that you normally wouldn't have. If all you need to do was throw money at a problem to solve that problem, you're kind of doing it wrong when it comes to the creative fields. You don't need to throw more money in it. You need to change your perspective and how you're thinking about things and how to achieve it. Because there's always going to be limitations, but like with Unreal Engine 5, where most of the limitations have been removed, a lot of games are going to start looking the same unless there's a strong push for an art direction, a certain style to put limitations on it. Because it's incredible what Unreal Engine 5 can achieve, but it removes limitations, it's going to cause a lot of things to look similar. What I'm saying, and I think that may prove to be true if there's not strong art direction in these studios with this new engine.
It's not made at a board meeting. It's made by people who have a fucking vision, and they get
Agreed.
everybody in
Agreed.
line
It's
with
made
their
by
vision,
people
and
who
they
make vision.
execute
And they
within
execute,
limited
yeah.
periods of time. Movie industries like that. The game industries like that. Everything's like that. With
Every
with
creative field
larger
is
scale
like that.
Development, not a factory. You know. All I'm saying is that Nintendo, of all companies, seemingly is coming out on top now because they sort of get it. They knew they did not have to push graphical fidelity, and people still invested heavily in Nintendo. Even now with their next generation, they're moving to something potentially PS4 Pro in terms of visuals. Clearly their workload's going to get much bigger, but dude, they're going to be in a spot where game development was at like 10 years ago, and it's going to look way better, don't get me wrong, but still their choice to put out games isn't because they're taking forever to make. It's because that's just the way Nintendo fucking works. They do whatever the hell they want. They don't give a shit. They're just going to do what they want when they want. You know?
Yeah. I agree with him 100% on everything he just said. It's so true. It is so true. And I could beat this with a dead horse longer, but this has already been a half hour, 31 minutes. Oh my gosh. I turned a 9-minute video into a half hour. This is why everybody reacts to videos, because it's easy content. But I just wanted to talk on this. I agree with everything he was saying, is that the graphics don't matter as much as it used to. I truly believe the only reason we're focused on graphics still is that is the easiest way to market a game is look how stunning and cool it is. Not look how much fun I'm having playing it. It's so much harder to show off a fun, enjoyable game than it is to show off a stunningly gorgeous and beautiful game in marketing. The only way to show off how fun a game is to play is either you go to a convention and you can play a demo of it there, put out a demo before release, or you wait for the reviews to drop. There's only 3 ways. And I don't have a clear solution on this. There's people who get paid money who should be thinking about how to fix this and change how things work, but that's not me. It's not me. But yeah, anyways, guys, that's the video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more talking head videos and gameplay content. I love you guys, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.